Yeah, welcome everyone. Sorting out gallery. Madeline,
Hello.
Mandira, Anne, Lucy. Hello again, Roger. Nimala and Kath. Good. Here we are. Well, Happy New Year to you all. Welcome back. Last time we were just completing the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, verse 47, which is the last verse of the Prathamodhyaya, the first chapter. I will call it up for you. Hang on, let me just share screen first. Sorry, my fault. I forgot to make a note of where exactly we had got. Had we started the recitations? Had we even got to the end of the grammar and analysis of it? I can't remember.
I think we did not make the recitation.
Okay, right. But had we completed the linguistic analysis of it?
I'm not sure. I don't know if we finished completely. I
Ah,
don't remember.
okay, maybe we hadn't because there's I don't think I remember discussing Shoka Samvignamanasaha and the welcome Teresa, the Shoka Samvignamanasaha and the meaning of that. Did we discuss the analysis of that samasa, the Shoka Samvignamanasaha?
I don't remember
No,
discussing it.
right. Visrija, I'm fairly sure we did talk about because that's from the root srij, meaning to release, to let go. And I do remember talking about the verbal noun from srij is the root. Just enlarge this for you. The root appears as I'm highlighting that srij, meaning to release or to let go out of oneself. And
Do the samas.
sorry?
We did not do the samas.
We did not do the samas. Okay, I'd fairly sure I hadn't, but we had just discussed visrija, I think. And yeah, because I mentioned that let me just call up iPad again. Oh, hang on. Yeah, the srij, meaning to release or let go, is the dhatu, is the root. And it makes one of its verbal nouns. I think I did mention this last time with the addition of a T. So the srij plus T by internal sandhi becomes srishti, which means the output, the release out of oneself, the letting something go out of oneself. And in Hindu philosophy, one of the words for creation is the srishti, because of as it were, it is the pouring forth of the kalpa from the mind of Brahma, so that the tangible universe as we see it is in fact like an image of the mind of Brahma, which then pours forth into the manifest universe. By the way, one word for imagination is a kalpa. That was the original meaning of the root kalp, you see, is the kind of setting things in order. You can even do an act of kalpa on a meal, you prepare a meal. But then it became to have a specialized meaning in the sense of ordering things in your mind, the creation, the formulation of an image was the kalpa. So the idea was that this image was formed in the mind of Brahma, which then transformed itself into the tangible universe. And that's why we have the word kalpa, originally meaning the imagination, the creation of the image, the kalpa meaning an eon, the duration of the universe, as long as that kalpa lasts in the mind of Brahma, is the thinking behind it. That's an aside from this. So this is Srij, to let go. Visrija, here Arjuna, Visrija chapam. Deal with Sasha. So he lets his bow drop from his hand. The measure is the depth of his vishada, the depths of his falling apart in despair. And this is the absolute form, having let go or letting go. And shara means an arrow. So you could say dropping, releasing, letting go from his hand, dropping from his hand his bow and arrows. You could say that. But this now is used the arrow, the sasharam, with the prefix sa, it means with. So letting go the sasharam chapam, the with arrow bow. In other words, dropping his bow together with the arrows. So it's quite common to find, you find it in Sanskrit and Pali, to create an adjective with this, if you're talking about two things together, something having something. For example, yam loko sadevako samarako, this world sadevako with its devas, samarako with its mara. But here you have it in a very ordinary sense. You would say chapam Sharanicha, the bow and the arrows, but here it's just used as his with arrow accompanied bow is just another way of saying dropping his bow and arrows. Shoka samvigna manasaha. Shoka is the word meaning grief. It's from the root shuch. Sorry. Yeah. Shuch is the root meaning grief, and it makes its verbal noun shoka. As you know, we often find that where the root has a ch, the verbal noun has a ka, as in yuj, yoga. So j to ga, ch to shuch, shoka, yuj, yoga. It's common. And we get the name of the emperor, Ashoka, which in Pali is pronounced, as you'd expect, Asoka. Just means without grief, he who is without grief. So in this verse, he's Shoka Samvigna Manasaha. Oops. My pen's gone funny. Here we are. I've done a note on the meaning of manasa here, but I'll go through it with you. So we have the root man, thinking, and we have the noun manas, consonantal declension, so the genitive is manasaha, locative manasi, instrumental manasa, and so on, manas. It's formed in the same way as the root, for example, num, meaning to bow or to bend, and by extension to revere, to pay reverence, where we get namas, which we have our greeting namaste. Anyway, manas is a mind, and this is you can make an adjective out of it, mental, by a standard procedure, vriddhi of the first vowel, and just add a. So manasa. Manasa started off as an adjective. We're talking back to Vedic times. Started off as an adjective meaning mental, but then it came to be used as a noun. And the noun with the sense of a mindset, everything that's in your mind, your entire kind of mental construction. We see it in the Karaniya Metta Sutta, for example, manasam bhavaye aparimanam. Let one cultivate, develop a manasam, an attitude of mind, a mindset. Aparimanam means unbounded. Aparimana, if we had the word, we can create the word. Unperimetered, aparimana, unperimetered, is etymologically the same word, without a perimana. The mana here in the sense of measuring, perimana, measuring around. Cognate with the Greek perimeter. Okay, back to where we were. So he's Shoka Samvigna Manasa. So his mind is Shoka Samvigna. Samvigna the root here is vij. And the original meaning of vij was, it means here agitate, well, more than agitate. The poor fellow is in complete despair and just doesn't know what to do. His mind distraught with grief. But samvigna, from the root vij, the verbal noun vega, the original meaning is making a rapid movement, and then it has the idea of life. Vij, life. And vega. Incidentally, although it may seem, the word vegetable in modern English comes from that same root. It's living things, but in this particular sense, restricted to vegetable life, non-animal. But it's that same root, living plants. But it has the meaning of, as it were, quickened, aroused into life. And if you are with the prefix some, samvega, it has the sense of spurred into action, spurred into life, suddenly woken up, but with the specific specialized meaning of roused by a shock or a fear. So it's the shock or the fear that arouses this thing, this fighting to protect your life mentality. or just a feeling that goes. So the samvega is the kind of the shock of being in danger, and here it's the kind of the shock of grief. Samvega, by the way, is used in Buddhist teaching in the sense that have a sense of the same in Pali and Sanskrit, by the way, this word identical. Samvega is the sense of samvega, in the sense of, you haven't got any time to waste. Don't hang about and thinking I'll become a better person next week when I have time. It's the idea of the samvega. It's urgent. Do it now. You have no time to waste. And one of the vices warned against by Shantideva at an early stage of his Bodhicharya Avatara is the udvega is another word used. Samvega, udvega. The anudvega, the lack of samvega for the dangers of samsara. So the samvega, in that sense, is the spurred to act, the call to arms. It's urgent. Act now. But here we have the slightly different meaning. The mind distraught with grief. Shoka samvigna. But it's just the vigna is just the past participle of vij. It's one of those past participles that's formed with a na rather than a tha. There are quite a few of them. Just as, in English, quite a few of our past participles are formed with an en rather than ed. Written, spoken, driven, and so on. Broken. So Sanskrit also has a series of these that form it in na, so vigna. So this compound is samvigna manasa, with a mind that is samvigna, with a distraught mind, samvigna manasa, and the addition of shoka, specifically, why, by what reason does he have a distraught mind? It's a grief-distraught mind. In other words, a mind rendered distraught by grief. Shoka samvigna manasaha. Okay. So what we can do now is to, first of all, any comments or queries on that verse, and then we can do some recitation of it.
Can I ask something, Professor Whelan?
Yes, please, Mandira.
This word shuch, does it not mean pure?
Shuchi.
Yes, for example, when we use
Oh,
it,
shuchi does, yes.
so
I hadn't actually spotted that. So you've got the root shuch. Why? I hadn't spotted that point, Mandira. Let us go straight to it. Fancy that not. So let's go straight to. So we've got so we're looking at the root shuch. Okay, it's originally shining and suffer, be sorrowful, bewail, lament. Ha, interesting. The original meaning, the original Vedic meaning was to shine, flame, glow, burn. And then that's split into two meanings. One is the pain of burning and grief, and the other is the purity of a bright light. So it comes. Thanks for spotting that, Mandira. I hadn't seen that. So there we are. The original meaning, to shine, and then by extension, you can see through shine, fire, heat, pain, grief, and then the shining of purity. And how it also came to me to be putrid or to stink, I don't know. But what sometimes happens, you find these you find kind of subsidiary meanings. Because Monia Williams might have found it once in the Sanskrit literature, in it goes to his dictionary. But mostly you will see Mandira is absolutely right in the adjectival form shuchi, meaning pure, but in the noun form shoka, meaning grief. I wonder if so the shoka, you see, yeah, so burning, and then heat, and then sorrow and affliction. We have another word, from the root tap, meaning to burn, where we have tapas, which is the ascetic practices when you put yourself through physical torments. So the tapas originally meaning from the root tap, meaning heat. And this is another word where the basic notion of heat has extended into a physical torment. This was mellowed down in Latin because from the root tap we have tepidus, from which in English we have tepid, which just means slightly warm, as opposed to the idea it has in Sanskrit, where taproot is means hot, certainly hotter than tepid. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. You have enhanced my knowledge there. Thank you, Mandira. Hang on, I've lost me. There we are. So, any more comments or queries before we start reciting? Right. So I'll just go then in the order in which you appear in my gallery. That's you, Madeleine. Would you like to give us a recitation of it?
Yes. Sanjaya Uvacha Eva Muktvarjuna Sankye Rato Pasta Upavishat Visrijya Sasharam Chapam Shoka Samvigna Manasaha.
Yeah, thank you, Madeleine. Very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mandira, you have a go. I'll just make sure you've got the Devanagari in full view there.
Thank you. Sanjaya Uvacha Evam Muktvārjunaha Sankhye Rathopast Upavishat Visrijya Sasharam Chapam Shoka Samvigna Manasaha.
Okay, very good. A little bit of grammar for you, Mandira. We've got this word ratopasta ending in a short a, and the following word beginning with an u, and I'll show you it all here in the Roman script, ratopasta upavishat. Who will be the first to tell me why you don't make a sandhi to ratopastopavishat? Why not? Why do you have this hiatus? U.
Is it just for the meter?
Sorry?
Is it just for the meter?
No. Oh, no. In Pali, you can take liberties with the grammar for the sake of the meter. In Sanskrit grammar is much more fixed. You aren't allowed to take liberties. Teresa?
It's because you can't have a double sandhi.
Yes.
And you already have one because the E. On the
Exactly so. You got it right, Teresa. Excellent. So what this began life. So Upavishat, he went into where? Into the ratopaste, in the locative, the upaste. So when you get the rapo, if without the sandhi, I've written it here, rata ratopaste upavishat. When you get an a, word ending in a, next word beginning with an u, all that happened by Sandhi, the E becomes A. Now, you've already, now, Teresa, then this is a very important rule to remember. You apply Sandhi, the E becomes A before the next word beginning with U. You've applied Sandhi once, and there you stop. You only apply Sandhi once. So this, you now leave this word ending in an A and beginning with the U, you leave that as it is. That's where you get Ratopasta Upavishati and the U. Okay, so yeah, you got the rule exactly right, Teresa. Right. Yeah, well, so thank you, Mandira. Is Anne, would you like to have a go? Unmute, Anne.
Uvacha evam utvarjuna shankye rato pashta upavishat visrijya shasharam chapam shoka samvigna manusha ha.
You're saying a number of the s's with a sh. That remember, sasharam, sasharam.
Sasaram.
Yeah, and
Cha.
this one is sankye.
Sankye.
Yeah, yeah. Otherwise, you make it sound like a conch, which is a shankar,
Sankye.
shankam dadmau. He blew his conch.
Sankye.
Sankye. By the way, the word just by the by, this feature of the sh becoming a k in Latin and Greek, we have the word shanka means a conch shell, and the word shanka in Sanskrit is that same word that we have in modern English as conch, shanka, conch. It's the same word. Before the battle, we see this in the opening lines, the opening few lines of the Bhagavad Gita. They're all blowing their conches. He blew his conch, shankam dadmau, from dma meaning to blow. Okay, thank you, Anne. We're round to you, Lucy. Please come in, Lucy.
Yes. Sanjaya uvacha evam utvarjuna sankhye rato pasta upavishat vishradya sasharam chapam shoka samvigna manasaha.
Right. I'm okay. That was pretty good generally, but I'm trying to wean you away from giving your native French values to the vowels.
Yes.
So, for example, chapam, chapam.
Chapam.
So, same. You say also say visrijya, visrijya. So, first word of the second line,
Visrijya.
That's better, visrijya. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Lucy.
Thank you.
Oh no, I won't make it quite so easy for you. Just pronounce the last samasa again. Shoka samvigna manasaha. Manasaha.
The last word?
Yeah, the where I'm highlighting here. Shoka samvigna manasaha.
Shoka samvigna manasaha.
That's much better, yes. Okay. Don't be afraid of the long ah, or the short ah. Manasa. Manasa.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Lucy. Roger, we're round to you.
Sanjaya uvacha evam uktvarjana sankhye ratu pasta upavishat vishrajya sarjaram.
No, sasharam.
Sasharam chapam shuka samvinya manasaha.
Okay. This, by the G with an N, if you're a speaker of French or Italian, you will tend to pronounce the ñ sound, vignette, and so on. But it is pronounced that they're pronounced as two separate sounds. Vigna, vigna, some vigna. Okay, thank you, Roger. Kath, we're round to you.
Sanjaya, Sanjaya Uvacha. Eva Muktarjunah Sankhye Ratopasta Upavishata Visrajya Sasharan Chapam Shokasam Manasaha.
Right, I love that chanting and was very interesting. Can you just do this upavishat again? Just that word.
Upavishat.
Ah, pronounce it the way you pronounced it first time, because you pronounced it differently the second time.
Upavishat.
Okay, you will find in the chanting of Sanskrit that where a line ends in a th, in ordinary prose, upavishat. Whereas if you're chanting it, sometimes, I don't know why it happens, it just does, there's a little shadow vowel at the upavishata. It's not upavishata with the full ta, it's upavishata, it's a shadow vowel, which grammatically is not there, and is not reflected in the script. It's purely a feature of certain styles of chanting that this shadow vowel is put there.
I think I was told that you do that with all consonants except M.
Yeah, okay. So if there was
I was told that.
so if something ended in a, of course you do with the visarga, as is well known, manasaha. Okay, so you do with all consonants except the M and the N. M and N, is it?
I think I was told except for M.
Ah, interesting. I'll listen out more. Thanks. Listen out more carefully when I'm next listening.
Thank you.
But bear in mind, it's a purely phonetic feature. It's not a grammatical feature, because Sanskrit will clearly distinguish between a word ending in at and
it's just like part of the style, I think. Sorry,
say again.
Part of the style of chanting.
It is a pure style of chanting. You're right. It's not. For example, you can have the words abhavat and abhavata, where these are two grammatically different words in Sanskrit. So if you were chanting a word that ends in abhavat, just means he was, you'd have abhavat with a little shadow vowel, whereas if it was grammatically ending like that, you'd pronounce that final ah much more distinctly and clearly. It's a vowel in its own right. It's called as abhavata, rather abhavata, abhavata. I'm not getting it perfectly right in the pronunciation. Hopefully you get the point. Yes. So when you were saying that, Mandira, can you say this upavishat, whichever way is natural for you to say it?
Yes, upavishat.
Okay, right. So of course that would be natural for you as a Hindi speaker anyway, to end the word on a pure consonant with no shadow vowel. Incidentally, Mandira, when you were chanting, can you just, Mandira, back to you again, say again this this pada, this half line that I've highlighted in Roman. If you just do chant, just recite or chant that one that I've highlighted in the Devanagari.
Eva Muktvarjunah Sankhye.
Okay, now, and this one, say this one.
Shoka Samvigna Manasaha.
Okay, right. In both of those, you pronounce the visarga with the little shadow vowel, manasaha, the little at the very end, and arjunaha. Now, one point here. Where the visarga occurs at the end of a line, specifically the end of a line of poetry, then you do normally pronounce the shadow vowel there. Shoka samvigna manasaha. However, where it is immediately followed by another consonant, you don't put the shadow vowel there. You say eva muktvarjunah sankhe, not arjunah sankhe, because immediately followed by a consonant. So you wouldn't have that shadow vowel there. So you're right to put it at the end of the line, but it's, I think, it's regarded, I think, as substandard to put it. If you listen to Vedic chanting on YouTube, you can, there's plenty of it all over the place. You'll see that point. In fact, if you listen to Vedic chanting on the YouTube, you will find that many of the Brahmin chanters, if you've got a visarga followed by a st, it'll be pronounced with a double S. You'll find many of them will. And in the Vedas, when you're reciting, if this was a Vedic text, you would be likely to hear it pronounced eva muktvarjunah sankhe with a double s. In classical Sanskrit, eva muktvarjunah sankhe. In Vedic, eva muktvarjunah sankhe. It would be regarded as correct in Vedic. And in fact, many years ago, I've even seen some Sanskrit texts where they've actually written it as a double s, not with visarga and sa, but a double s. But it's rare to see that, but you can't say it's wrong. It's sanctioned, as it were, by Vedic or authority.
We'd also, I was taught to pronounce, to double the consonant when it was a sh as well.
With a sh as well, yeah, that is correct. So if you were Arjuna Shoka, it would come out as Arjuna Shoka, which is correct. Yeah, that again, that's Vedic style, which would not be regarded as normal in classical Sanskrit, but is entirely correct for Vedic.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Okay, well, thank you, Mandira. Also, by the way, you'll find that this visarga in Vedic recitation, if it's followed by a k or a k sound, the visarga takes on a slightly k sound. If it were Arjuna Kanksha, for example, it would be Arjuna the k sound, slightly k in Vedic rather than as a pure h sound. And equally, if it's followed by a p, it takes on a slightly f sound, like like Japanese F, like the f sound. But again, this is these are complexities of Vedic. So back to our pure classical Sanskrit then, and Srinamala. Sorry.
Can I just ask, would that double S ever be written in the transliteration or not? Do you think? Have you ever seen it?
I can't recall that I've ever seen it.
Okay.
If my task were to write a transliteration of a Vedic text, which was written in Devanagari in that way, then I probably would write it in transliteration. Write it in transliteration with a double S. But if this were a circumstance in which I had the liberty to add a footnote, I would add a footnote explaining why it's a double S rather than visarga plus S.
Okay. Thanks.
But it's an interesting situation. I don't think I've ever been in the situation where it's happened, because it's actually quite rare to see it written like that. It's just occasionally you find it. So where we Srinimala. So round to you, please.
Sanjaya Uvacha Eka Bhukva Arjuna Sankhe Tato Pashyata Upavisha.
We're having a problem with your sound, Shrinamala. You
Yes.
even seem to be
Sorry.
muted.
Visarjan Samsara. Now it's okay?
It's kind of coming and going. Just try this pada on its own. Visrija sasharanchapam. No, you may have weak signal where you are. You've frozen. Okay, we'll come back to you. I don't know if you can hear me, Shrinamala.
My internet is not okay today because of the rainy day.
Okay, right. Okay, just that sound came through. Okay, just then see if the system has given you a little window of time in which you can recite it. See if it works now. No, sorry, we've lost you. We'll come back to you again if your signal strengthens, Shrinamala. So we're round to you, Teresa. Unmute.
Okay.
Oh, and before you start, Teresa,
Mhm.
I know, of course, we know you can do this. You just have. Why is it Sanjaya Uvacha again with an A followed by an U?
Because let's see the Devanagari.
Sanjaya
It's something
Uvacha.
to do with standing. No, I'm not sure what you're asking me.
Okay, you correctly answered the question. Why is there no sandhi between the ratopa sta upa, the sta upa? And I'm asking you the same question. Why is it Sanjaya Uvacha? Why is it not Sanjaya Uvacha? You got the U hiatus.
So there must have been Sandy already, but I'm not sure how there was Sandy already.
The sandhi there was this in its without sandhi form, where I've
yes, okay, right.
because it's the nominative, it would be Sanjaya. Okay. So the aha with visarga followed by the u, what happens is the visarga drops by sandhi, and then exactly the rule that you then correctly stated earlier, you apply sandhi only once, so you leave it as Sanjaya Uvacha.
Okay.
So you've got the same phenomenon appearing, the au, both by reason of previous application of sandhi, but a different sandhi in each case. The au becomes au, and the eu becomes au.
So why isn't that written in the Devanagari? Why wasn't the Visarga written in the Devanagari?
Because it dropped. I put it here. You see, I
see. Yes,
I just put it in here to show you in the form before applying sandhi correctly. I'm going to delete it now. So you delete the visarga. So this is now correctly written in Roman script there, and correctly written in the Devanagari script there, with the dropping of the visarga. Okay.
Having said all that, can I read it from the line where the words are all separate? Do you mind? Further down, Evam, where the words, there's no sandhi in the words. This one, yes. Can I just read from that?
Right.
If you don't mind?
Before you realize that's slightly naughty, don't you?
I do, yes, but I'm just getting a bit more confident in reading. So, if you don't mind, or would you? Is it okay?
No, okay, carry on. Okay.
Well, I'll do the first two.
We Irish will allow a little bit of liberty to one another, won't we?
A little bit of lenition. Sanjaya Uvacha. Evam Uktva Arjuna Sankhye Rata Upashat Upavishat Visrija,
Visrija.
Visrija,
Mm.
Sa Sharam, Shapam, Shoka Samvigna Manasaha.
Manasaha.
Manas.
That's correct, yeah. Also, you shorten the other, so chapang, shoka something the mana, chapam.
Chapam.
Right, yes, very good. Thank you, Teresa. Oh, by the way, this Upavishat, this is, did I do a note on it? I can't remember.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, that's right. It's the root vish, meaning to enter. And there's more than one way of making a past tense in Sanskrit. This is one that Western grammarians call the imperfect, where it's avishat. Just means he entered. So it's upa avishat, becomes then by Sandhi upavishat. He entered into the upasta, which is the kind of backstage, as it were, backstage of the chariot. The upasta is the same as the long distance lorry drivers have. They have their little kind of sleeping area above and behind their seat. That would be the upasta of the long distance lorry, and the same with the chariot, where you can sit down and have a tea break if the battle isn't too, or a sauna break, or whatever you're having, if the battle isn't too fierce at the time. So the fact that he's gone into his upasta right at the commencement of battle is a further indication of his despair. He drops his bow and arrows. He goes into the resting place of the battle, the upasta, at the back of the ratha.
James, could I just ask you about this thing of the imperfect tense?
Mm-hmm.
I think I heard you say this before. Imperfect isn't really recognized in English.
No.
Is that what you said? Okay, well,
okay, yeah, carry on.
Because I know we have imperfect in Irish, so the subtlety, surely if they have a tense for it in Sanskrit, they intend a subtlety of meaning. It's just a question.
Yeah, okay. Oh goodness me, I can't remember the Paninian word for it. I got to brush up that. They have different names for it in Sanskrit grammar. The reason that the Western grammarians call this particular tense the imperfect is because in form it is similar to the Greek and the Latin imperfects.
Okay.
Now, the Greek and the Latin imperfects, they're called that because it's imperfect. In other words, the action is not completed. Actio imperfecta, a non-completed. Yes. So you're describing an ongoing doing rather than a completed doing. The difference in English. Is it the same in Irish? We have that in Irish.
Yeah, okay, very common. Yeah.
Okay, like in English, we do the same, but by the use of compound verbs. You have your past definite did, or we could say the equivalent of the imperfect was doing.
Yeah.
I was doing so and so when something else happened. Mm-hmm. So when we use the word imperfect there to describe Sanskrit grammar, I'm not quite comfortable, though I use it because the grammarians do. I'm not totally comfortable with the word. The reason being is that it doesn't have that meaning in Sanskrit. It's just a past definite in Sanskrit.
But okay, but why do they? If it's just a past definite, don't Sanskrit have other past definite tenses? Yes. Surely there's a subtlety we're missing there.
There is a subtlety we're missing.
Okay.
And the subtlety is this. But the subtlety was well maintained in Vedic literature, but had effectively disappeared by the time of these classics that we're talking about here.
Okay.
Back in Vedic times, there were the three past tenses what we call as the aorist, because it is, you know, in similar in form to the Greek aorist, is what in fact in Sanskrit grammar is called the adyatana. Adyatana. Adya, today, which the adya, the stem adya, that in modern Hindi has become aj. So adya, aj. I think in Sinhala, Shinam, you say ada for today, is that right? Ada. You're muted.
Yeah, other means today.
Very
Ada.
good. Okay, right. So this adya in Sanskrit has become ada, written as a short ada in Sinhala, ada, today, and it's the same one that has become aj in modern Hindi. That's because what modern Hindi prefers to do is where you have in Sanskrit a short vowel with a consonant cluster, what Hindi likes to do is to lengthen the vowel and have a single consonant. So adya, Pali would be ajja, but Hindi aj. Anyway, so the adyatana and the ending tana is an adjectival ending that you put onto an expression of time. So adya, today, as an adverb of time, but adyatana means belonging to today. So they call the aorist, the adyatana kala, the aorist, the today tense. So in other words, it's past, but very recent past. It happened today. And the one that we call the imperfect, which we have here, avishat, I should remember, I can't remember the Sanskrit grammatical name for it, that is further back in the past. It's how long ago something, further back in the past, but as it were, still within living memory, so to speak. And there's another form of the past, which is called the reduplicated perfect, which would be vivesha, avishat vivesha, and that in Vedic times would be used by a person. So if he used the word avishat, it's suggesting that the person is speaking from his own knowledge of something that happened recently, not today, but recently. If you use the other form of the past, vivesha, that suggests that it's something happened further in the past, and or he didn't see it, it's beyond his direct knowledge. So these are subtleties that exist in the Vedic, but have disappeared by the time of classical Sanskrit, where all these past tenses are used more or less indiscriminately. And in Pali, for the Pali scholars among you, it's the aorist that has become the generalized past tense in Pali. The other tenses are virtually just a couple of remnants in Pali, but it's the Sanskrit aorist, the general past in Pali. So this avishat would be avisi in Pali. Right.
Thank you, thanks.
Okay, thank you. So Srinimala, can we come back to you? Let's see if your signal is any better now.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm okay now. Can you hear me?
We can hear you well, loud and clear.
Yeah, okay. Arjuna sorry, Sanjaya Uvacha Eva Muktva Arjuna Eva Mukta Arjuna Sankaye Tatopa Sata Upavisat Visarjaya Sasaram Chapam Sokasam Vignamaha Manasah.
Manasaha. But I think
Sokasam Manasah.
okay, right. I think do you use the word manasa in modern Sinhala?
According to our Manasa is like a mind.
Exactly so, yes. So you do you still use that word in the modern language of Sri Lanka?
Yes, people are using Manasa. Yeah.
Okay, right. And also it's the same word that you find, as I've been mentioning earlier, in the Karaniya Metta Sutta,
Yes.
Manasam bhavaye uparimanam. Yes. Let one develop a manasam, a mindset. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Srinamara. The sound came through well then. And Charlene, we're round to you. Please come in.
Sanjaya Uvacha Evam Ukvajuna Sankhya Ratopasta Upavishat Vishra Sasharam Chapam Shoka Samvigna Manasaha.
This slight tongue twister here. Several of you fell down over it. Let me just analyze this for you on the. Let me get the iPad up. Here we are. So it's just Sridge. It's a native English speaker would find it a little difficult the str sound because we would have a str in English, or not at the beginning of a word anyway. The Sridge, and then it's further complicated by the fact that we've got Sridjya. You've got to pronounce the j followed distinctly by the. You can't let that ya go. Visridjya. You will distinctly hear both the j and the ya. If it were in Pali, it would become a double j. It would be something like Visijja, but Visrijya in Sanskrit. And then just with the prefix vi, meaning away or out. So can you just give you the text again? So on the light of that, just say it very slowly. Visrijya.
Visrijya.
That came out beautifully, you see. Now, again, once more, if I may ask, Charlene, just to do that the entire I'll pronounce it slowly first, then you follow. Visrijya sasharan chapang shoka samvigna manasaha.
Visrijya Sasharam Chapang Shoka Samvigna Manasaha.
That came out beautifully, you see. That came out very nicely indeed.
Thanks.
Right, so we've got a bit of time. We'll move on to the next one. But before we leave this, which is now incidentally the end of chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita. So we'll move on to our next verse in the Bodhicharyavatara. But before we move on with it, let me know any comments or queries that you have on this. Yes, please, Mandira.
When we were doing the meaning of the word shucha, and we came across another meaning which relates with unpleasant or putrid.
The putrid smell, yes, stench, yes.
Smell. So I think it's to do with the when it's to do with the unpleasant smell of the toilet, because here we use shauchalay for toilets.
Ah, okay.
Ale is Ale stands for the place, and shouch means when we clear the belly.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. Right? I hadn't known that. Very interesting.
Yeah, I think that, if I'm not mistaken, I hope it is not too far-fetched, but that's what I mean. It's just off my head. The first thing that occurred to me. I could be
I'm
wrong.
just wondering whether the shaucha there actually means purification.
Yes.
Because rather than what you do in the toilet. I think it might mean purification because as in American English, you talk about you could do it in British English, a washroom. It could be that, but let me double check that. That's an interesting point there. I just may make a note to the Shauchale. Right. By the way, you notice all of the rest of you that Mandira pronounced Shauchalaya. In Sanskrit, it would be Shauchalaya. Now, this ale, sorry, I'm pronouncing it in the Hindi manner, alaya in Sanskrit. Lost my iPad again. It's actually from, there's the root li, which meaning to lie down. In fact, we have the same word in English, to lie, not to tell lies, but to lie down. And the alaya makes a verbal noun laya. So the alaya means literally the place where you go to lie down, your home, your abode. It originally said, so they show, and then it comes by extension, the place where you do the place where something happens, as in the example that Mandira just gave, the Shauchalaya. So the alaya, you have the name, and so alaya, an abode, it also means a resting place. And you have a name, there's a monastic name in Pali, is analayo, means almost like the meaning of homeless, no place to go to rest. There's in fact, let's see, British or American, I can't remember, and there's a monk, a Theravada monk by the name of Analayo, who's quite well known. He's written
German, isn't he?
Is he German?
Yeah.
Ah, he wrote the books on the Satipatthana Sutta.
Yeah, he's written loads of books.
He has written several. Yeah. So analayo means. Thanks for that, Roger. So analayo means, as it were, as in the son of man hath nowhere to lay his head. The idea is that he's homeless, purely homeless, not resting anywhere. Now, if you put the Sanskrit for snow is hima. Now look at this. So the hima alaya, which we have Himalaya in Hindi, the Himalaya, it's the Himalaya, the abode of the snow, where the snow rests, the snowy mountains, Himalaya. So, are we ready to move on to Shantideva? Okay. I'll call him up. Ooh. Oh, Shantideva. Here we are. Bear with me when I get to the right place. Right. So just to recap from the previous one, where he's talking about the merits, the advantages of dukkha, gunoparashti dukkasya, and another advantage, another guna, another merit of dukkha. Yet samvegan madachyuti. Here's another instance of the samvega, meaning the shock of something, from the shock of which there's a falling away of your mada. In other words, you have no more heedlessness or mada left. But chuti is a falling. from the shock of dukkha, you can, as it were, you can become mindful as you have a mada chuti, the falling away of heedlessness. Sansarishu chakarunyam papad bhiti jine spriha. That, there's a compassion for wayfarers in samsara. Samsarishu, the samsarin, somebody who's wandering in samsara, locative plural samsarishu. Chakarunyam, there is compassion towards those wandering in samsara. Papad bhiti, bhaya and bhiti are pretty much both from the root bhi, meaning to fear. Papad bhiti, fear of papa, fear of sin. Jine spreha, and hope or aspiration towards the conqueror, here meaning the Buddha. So we now go on to why it is unwise or not the best course of action to get angry with things that hurt you and cause you harm. So pittadishu name kopo mahaduhka kareshwapi sachetaneshu kinko pastepi prachaya kopitaha. Once more. Pittadishu name kopo mahaduhka kareshwapi sachetaneshu kinko pastepi prachaya kopitaha. So this word pitta, which means in medical terms bile, as the causer of jaundice. Tell us, Roger, was this from ancient? Is it still regarded as a causer of jaundice?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think too much sort of bile would cause the yellow color of jaundice. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So the glad to see that Hindu medicine had certainly got that right there all that time ago with Shanti Deva. So it causes you great distress, dukkha, causes you great dukkha. So pitta is the word for bile. I think we may have, don't know whether we have whether it's related to the Greek peptin, to digest, and dyspepsia, and so on. Dyspepsia, poor digestion. And as I said, it's one of the three doshas or humours of Ayurvedic medicine, as the Vayu, Kapha, and Pitta. So anyway, here it is being treated as something that too much of it causes you dukkha, as in too much of it causes jaundice. The force of the adishu here, the adi, meaning literally the meaning of that word on its own is a beginning, and it means, when it's at the end of a compound, it means etc. So it means a list of things beginning with pitta, the pitta adi, pitta and so on. Pitta beginning, the list of things beginning with pitta. And here it is in the locative plural, pitta adishu, by Sandhi pittadishu. Name kopo, not to me kopaha. Kopa is anger. There's more than one word for anger. There's krodha is another word, and kopa. In modern Hindi, Mandira, do you use krodh or kop for anger? Do you use those words?
No more, not any longer.
You think you use words like sorry?
We do use clothes sometimes.
Okay, right.
But
Okay. But in fact, in modern Hindi, you use the word gussa, I think, for anger, don't you? Yeah. Gussa. That's a very odd word, because in fact, gussa in it's Urdu, it has come to mean anger, but it's come via Persian, but from the original Arabic, gussa actually means sorrow. or it doesn't mean anger in Arabic. It's flipped its meaning as it's come into Urdu and Hindi. So anyway, this kopa and krodha are two words for anger. So pitadishu na me kopo. I have no kopa, na me kopo. The me here is the shortened form of me, literally not of me anger, meaning I do not have anger. So the kopaha becomes kopo by sandhi because of the following voiced consonant, the following ma. So pitadishu na me kopo, and as usual, I do not have anger towards pitta and other things. What you have, if you have a certain feeling towards something, a desire, envy, anger, any kind of feeling towards something, the object of that feeling is generally put, or commonly put, in the locative, as here, pitadishu. That's why it's the locative. So, name kopo, literally, not to me anger, pitadishu, in English we'd say for, pitta and similar things, and things like it. So I do not have any anger against bile and such like, adishu. Mahaduhka kereshvapi. Again, mahaduhka kereshu api. We've got kereshu, again, in the locative plural, because this is a compound noun, mahaduhka kara. It's a compound noun. It's got to agree with the noun pitadishu. So it's mahaduhka kereshu. So maha duhka kara, great suffering maker, the causing great suffering. So an api means here is its usual meaning of even. So what he's saying is, I have no anger, pitadishu, against things such as pitta, api, even though, mahaduhka kereshu, great suffering causing, even though they cause great suffering. Remember this word api, meaning even, when it has that meaning, it has to come at the end of the word that it qualifies. Api can begin a sentence, but then it's at the beginning of a sentence. It has an interrogative meaning. I think I know I may have told some of you, I can't remember all, a very good greeting if you meet an ascetic looking, a Brahmin who's doing his tapas. A wonderful old-fashioned greeting to him is apitapo vardhate. So the api there comes at the beginning of the sentence, meaning I trust that, I hope it is the case that api tapo vardhate. I hope that your tapas is increasing or being fruitful. So apitapo vardhate, which is a line that I got from Kalidasa's Shakuntala, actually, when the king greets the Brahman ascetic. Apitapo vardhate. I hope that your tapas is being successful, increasing, bearing fruit. This vrid root, meaning literally to grow. Anyway, so here we've got api at the end, meaning even. So I have no anger against bile and such like, even though they cause great suffering. Sachetaneshu kim kopastepi pratyaya kopitaha. So here we have kopo and kopas, same word, but by sandhi kopaha, followed by a voiced consonant ma, becomes kopo maha. But here the saraga becomes a s because it's followed by a ta. You have namo namaha, namo namaha namaste. So namo namaha namas. by visarga with the sandhi with the following word. So kopas tepi pratyaya kupita. This is the same api, so te api becomes tepi with the same meaning. Even they, tepi, even they. Pratyaya kupita are angered, made angry. Pratyaya through a cause. So who sachetaneshu kinkopas. Kim here is the neuter form. If you wanted to say what anger, you would say kahakopa. But this is kinkopa in the neuter form, and that has the meaning of in interrogative. It would mean why. Kinkopaha. Why should there be anger? So the root meaning of king is what, as the neuter. Kinkaroti. What's he doing? But otherwise, as here, it's used as a general in interrogative, mostly meaning why. So kinkopa. What's the point of being angry? Why should there be angry? Kinkopa sachetaneshu. Why should there be anger with conscious beings? So we've got the chitta, the chit. We have the chitta, which is like the heart mind, a very common word in Buddhist philosophy, in Buddhist psychology, the chitta. The chetana or chetana means an act of the chitta, and more specifically an intentional act. So if you're a sachetana, you are a person who has conscious, a person who is capable of acting with chetana, a person who's capable of acting with consciousness. And again, we've got the locative plural, sachetaneshu, because kimkopa sachetaneshu. Why should there be anger towards or against conscious beings? So he's saying it's as silly to be angry with conscious beings as it is to be angry with some disorder within the body, like the pitta, the bile. Tepi pratyaya kupita. They too are rendered angry, made angry, pratyaya, by a cause. They are caused angered, pratyaya kupita. So this is the Tatpurusha compound. Kupita, in the singular, kupita means angered or made angry. Made angry by what? For what reason? By a cause, pratyaya kupita, cause angered, made angry by a cause. So he's saying here that if somebody upsets you by getting angry with you, then there's no point getting angry back, because his anger is not a real voluntary act on his part. It's, there's something behind it that's causing him to be like that. So this gopitaha, call up the iPad again. Sorry. Oh, it's just gone through. I have to go soon. So we've got the root gop, meaning to be angry. We've also got the root, which doesn't a similar root, krud, which make their verbal kup, kopa, krud, krudha. But kup, class 10, commonly the causative form of the verb, kopayati, means to make angry. And the past participle of that is gopita. So gopita means more than just angry. It means made to be angry. Specifically, something has caused it. You're made to be angry. Gopita. And the pratyaya, commonly translated as a cause. Hang on, I lost it. Lost my place. Hang on. lost my place, lost my text. I'll get it back for you. Ah, here we are, here we are. The word pratyaya is a word of, right, I'll wind up now because I've got to leave in a moment. A very, very important. It's often in the important in Buddhism. So often translated as a cause, but there's more to it than that. In Pali, we have the doctrine of paticca samuppada, dependent origination, paticca samuppada in Pali, which in Sanskrit is pratitya samutpada. So it's the prati-i, the absolute form is pratitya, and the noun is pratyaya. So what we'll do, we'll wind up here, and we'll kick off next time with an analysis of this very profound and important word, and I'll deal with it in Sanskrit and why it is what it is in Pali, and very precisely to the limits of my own ability, exactly why it means what it means. It's an absolute, the dependent origination, of course, an absolutely key concept in Buddhism. So next time round, if that's all right with you, we'll kick off with an analysis of what these words really mean, what their grammatical analysis is. And I see it. At least one of you is pleased with that. Thank you, Teresa. That we'll put on a special show for you. Okay then, wonderful. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
joining me,
James.
and I
See
hope
you
to see you
next
again next
week.
week. Thank you
Next
then.
week.
Thank you.
Bye
Thank
now.
you. Thanks. Bye. Bye.
Bye.